right. Welcome back to Biohacking Beauty, the show where we simplify the science of skin longevity and help you take control of your aging process. I'm Amitai.
And I'm Anastasia. And we're here with Yango Skincare, diving deep into the smartest ways to protect your and rejuvenate your skin. Because youthful skin isn't about luck, it's about strategy.
Today's episode is essential for anyone who's serious about anti aging, skin health, or just not burning their face off. We're talking about sunscreen, what it really does, why skipping it is sabotaging your skin, and the one myth about SPF that still makes dermatologists cringe.
We'll break down what a tan actually means on a cellular level, why sunscreen isn't just a beach day thing, and we'll even settle the mineral versus chemical SPF debate once and for all.
All right, let's start with the basics. What's really happening when your skin tans or burns?
Totally. And I think we should start talking about the two types of UV rays that you need to worry about. So these are UVA and UVB. UVB is the one that burns, so you feel it on your skin. But UVA, that's actually the sneaky one. It goes deeper, breaking down collagen and speeding up aging from the inside out. And here's the critical detail. UV rays are everywhere, all year round, all day, even when it's cloudy.
Especially UVA, right?
UVA, yeah. So we're talking about UVA. That's the one that's
Yeah.
everywhere. If you see the daylight, it's out. It even goes
It's in
through.
your closet, like it's hiding. It's like it's in your pocket.
Well, if you see the daylight, you're affected by it. In the closet, probably not, unless your closet is made out of glass and it's by the window. Then guess what? You're affected by UVA, even in the closet, under those circumstances we just described. So yeah, if you sit by the window at work or in your car, you still need sunscreen. And unlike UVB, which burns, UVB burning rays, UVA, kind of you can remember the UV aging rays, A for aging, B for burning in UVB. So the damage is happening kind of quietly because you don't feel it, you don't feel your skin burning. However, it leads to wrinkles.
That's what makes it so dangerous. So really, when we think about a healthy tan, what we're really looking at is skin damage.
That's correct. A tan is a trauma response. It's your skin producing melanin as a defense mechanism, like a biochemical SOS. Tan is beautiful, and it's something that people really strive to wear, but you really need to think about what your skin is experiencing in this moment, and it is, nearly screaming for help.
And, in a sunburn, it's not just, redness. It's just not like, it's not, ha ha ha, I'm red. No. It's literal cell death, inflammation, immune suppression, and something that I think people don't think about normally, DNA fusion, DNA damage that is permanent, really all in one painful package.
Yes, and I know we kind of started off grim, and we're not here to like fear monger, so we'll get into biology and physiology here, and we just want you guys to have the most relevant and scientifically backed information, and then you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But the changes that we're talking about here, they're not just cosmetic. UV radiation disrupts mitochondrial function in your skin cells, meaning less cellular energy, slower repair, and faster aging.
Yeah. And vice versa. If you have bad mitochondrial function, the same UV is going to actually cause more damage. But really, in the long term, or the long-term picture, it's really collagen breakdown, elastin degradation, pigmentation issues, and an increased risk of skin cancer.
Yeah. So how about we bust some common excuses we hear all the time. Number one, that, I don't really burn easily. I, have natural pigment in my skin, so I don't think I need sunscreen. What would you say
First of
to
all,
this
it's not
person?
untrue. Melanin does offer some, that's kind of our natural sunscreen, right? Like it does offer natural protection, but UV rays will still damage DNA at the cellular level. Um, skin skin cancer rates may be lower, but aging and pigmentation, they still happen.
For sure. Now, another excuse that we hear is like, hey, I don't really need sunscreen. I'm mostly indoors. What do you think of that?
This I'm afraid of like getting too hyped up. So how about you answer that?
Okay, well, I think that it's pretty much what we talked about earlier, or what I mentioned earlier. If you sit by the window in your house and you're experiencing UVA rays, you will, that area of your body, let's say you sit by the window and it's the right side of your body, don't be surprised, like, and let's say now you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, don't be surprised in like 10 to 20 years this side will actually have more crepey skin, more pigmentation, more coarse skin, because it
At
is
least like a
aging.
microwave plate, spin.
I mean, you are aging that part of your body more now. And I think I agree that sun is a friend and we all need vitamin D. I think, you need to see, like, you speak about it often, that you can expose, like, your best bet to produce vitamin D that's healthy for you, like better outcome with vitamin D production, is to expose areas that are not normally exposed. So your shoulders, and in this example, or your arms that when you sit by the window that are exposed, they're exposed all the time when you're driving, etc. So expose, like, let's say your stomach skin that normally, unless you like always walk around in a crop top, is not exposed. So that's where you will get your vitamin D and your health benefits from that. But just be aware that UVA rays that you don't feel at the moment, will show up on your skin later. If you're okay with that and you're like, I don't mind crepey skin, I don't mind wrinkles, I don't mind sunspots, age spots, then that's fine. That's also a choice you can make for sure.
And I would say there are other things. So a lot of what we're going to talk about a lot, and we're not going to keep mentioning that, but what we're talking about a lot are things that are translated at the end of the day to oxidative stress, the oxidative load. And there are other things in your environment that are also getting translated to oxidative stress and are kind of topping up that bucket. One is artificial blue light. It's actually called it's called HEV, high energy visible light. But the blue light within that is the damaging one, and that would also increase oxidative stress. Non-native EMFs are going to increase oxidative stress. Pollution is going to increase oxidative stress, and we know that indoor air is actually more polluted on average than outdoor air. What else am I forgetting? Like heavy metals, glyphosates. There's now I think it's very trendy to talk about the dangers of living next to a golf course because of the pesticides that are used in the golf course and are seeping into the ground, to the water, but also are airborne. So all of those things at the end of the day may behave slightly different, but their end results is more oxidative stress, which would lend itself to aging, but it also plays a negative role, in negative synergy with UV radiation. So you're actually going to get more damage per photon of UV light exposure. So that's all to say, to reinforce your point. I'm wearing a shirt right now. We're in a studio. I'm exposed to artificial light. It's really polluted here. No, I'm kidding. It's not. But like, it's You know what I was thinking? Because of Brian Johnson, where he
Oh.
flew all the way to India, was there for a while, sat in a podcast studio only to say, like mid-interview, it's so polluted here, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I actually thought about when you were just recently recording with Dave Asprey, and he had amber lights and red lights on you guys to counteract the bright blue lights that
yeah,
were
sure.
also on you.
That anyway,
Yeah.
but bottom line is like there's a lot of so I'm here. There's artificial light. That artificial light doesn't actually hit my torso or my thighs because of the beautiful jeans you made me purchase and the shirt, right? But my arms are, my face is, my little V area
Yeah.
here in my chest is. So these areas are now more compromised. They have more oxidative stress on average. So these are going to be areas that are going to be less effective at, synthesizing vitamin D, dealing with sun damage. I think everyone sees where I'm going with this. Like
Yeah.
expose, as you said, expose other areas, right?
Yeah. And to add to that,
And use ladder serum. Come on, guys. Anyway.
yes. But for all of the people that are talking about like I need my vitamin D. Yes, sure, but the sun exposure helps, that helps synthesize vitamin D. You only need 10-15 minutes as well. So if you sit in by the window all day, that proverbial window we were talking about, just make like educated decision here. So like we said, if you want to synthesize vitamin D, expose the areas that you don't normally expose. You'll be more efficient in that. And you only need 10-15 minutes. You don't have to do it for hours. But other times, if you want the skin not to age, don't have it unprotectedly exposed to UVA and UVB.
Yeah, it's correct. And also, sunscreen doesn't block all vitamin D synthesis. I want to say that. But for consistent kind of high levels of vitamin D, safe high levels of vitamin D, I would recommend supplementation. There is a huge study that came out right now showing that it actually is an incredible longevity compound. So there is a debate about, hey, should you supplement on vitamin D? Oh, you should only supplement on vitamin D if you're also supplementing on vitamin A, K, and E, like K2 and E. Okay, whatever. But the study was only about, supplementing on vitamin D. Great results. So we take vitamin D every day, take about 5,000 to 10,000 IUs, depends on sun exposure. So yeah.
Yeah, and I also think to add to that point, and then we'll move on. A lot of the time, like within our community, within our biohacking community, there is now a lot of people that are quoting some research done in some native populations. Basically saying, hey, they don't use sunscreen and they don't have skin cancer. Therefore, I will go ahead and also not use sunscreen. But then, do you do everything else those native cultures do? Like, do you
First
live in
of
the
all,
same environment? Do you eat the same?
First of all, you're Irish and you live in Florida. Okay,
Yes.
you're not native, and your skin is not designed for those levels of vitamin or for those levels of UV for that in UV index. It's not okay.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, those native populations have what raises population wise wide cancer levels the most?
What?
Early detection. All right, so these communities, obviously generalizing here, but these communities also have a detection issue. They have a general early detection and available medical service issues. And by the way, these are epidemiological studies done over time. So maybe now things are a little bit better, but still. So this is not a great excuse, both because you are not native and, for both cases. Yeah.
And then I want to address one more common excuse, which is sunscreen has toxic chemicals. I won't put it on my body.
Well, There are not all SPF is
Accredited
created
equal.
equal.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
where
yeah,
we should really like now talk maybe about what makes them different.
yeah. But I would also say that you can't, expect just mix zinc oxide and beef tallow and like enjoy the sun. Like one of the things that, well, there's so much to say there. Maybe we should start with just talking about the chemical versus mineral and go from there.
Okay, yeah, I think that will
Yeah.
help our listeners to wrap their head around it a little bit easier. So, okay, chemical SPF ingredients like oxybenzone and avobenzone absorb UV rays and convert them into heat. And the problem is many of those ingredients can irritate the skin, disrupt hormones, harm coral reefs, and they degrade when exposed to sunlight, making them less effective over time. You want to talk about mineral
Yes,
sunscreen?
I would also say that they can get absorbed to your bloodstream, and that's one of the major issues that arose recently and made the FDA kind of go back and say, "Hey, these compounds need to be researched more."
Yeah.
Mineral sunscreen, on the other hand, uses zinc oxide, or a less popular compound right now is titanium dioxide, because if you were to inhale it, so if it's a like a spray on, it's an issue, but not topically, but it got a bad rap. So uh, these compounds physically block UV rays, so it sits on the skin and reflects light and works like that. It doesn't kind of absorb it and converts it to heat. It reflects it like a mirror.
Yeah, and the great thing about it also, it's more stable,
Yeah.
less irritating, and safer for sensitive and compromised skin. So honestly, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and you technically, although the FDA said, part of the FDA guidelines is you have to to tell the consumer that they need to reapply. Technically speaking, because it doesn't get metabolized like the
The
chemical
chemical.
ones that we talked about, a reapplication would be more like if you went into the water or things like that, or
Yeah.
sweat profusely or something like that.
Yeah, whenever our customers ask, like, do I actually have to reapply it every 2 hours? Because that, like, sunscreen is a drug. It's registered by FDA. So even on our sunscreen, we have to give this direction that you have to reapply it for every 2 hours. It's a must, like
It
direction that we have
remind
to put. However, I always like explain that since it's a physical sunscreen that physically sits on your skin and physically deflects rays, the common sense is unless it's melted off your face, let's say you played pickleball and you sweated, so it melted off your face, or you went to swim, you don't really have to reapply it. So if you sit by that window we talked about all day, but you're in AC, you didn't sweat, and it didn't, physically washed from you off your face, you don't have to reapply it.
Yeah, but we kind of have to say you have to apply it. It
Yeah.
reminds me the Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where he goes to a chiropractor, and the chiropractor name drops Harrison Ford, but he can't say it. So he's like, so you need privacy. Famous people come here, like maybe Harrison Ford. He's like, oh, you take care of Harrison Ford. I didn't say that. I didn't say Harrison Ford came here after his latest plane crashed. I didn't say, anyway.
Yeah.
Shout out to Curb Your Enthusiasm. Anyway, if you are kind of into biohacking your skin, mineral SPF or non-nano mineral SPF is non-negotiable. Non-nano, non-negotiable. Because it's really allowing you to have protection with zero compromises for the most part. The newer ones, they also don't have like a white cast, so it's really no compromises. I think I do want to talk a little bit about why sunscreen, like super, super, super clean sunscreen, is an issue. Like why you need to find the middle ground. It's because sunscreen is basically built to be on your skin at a very high heat. So a lot of the things, for example, do you know what's going to happen if you just applied like let's say without the zinc oxide. Just let's let's go to first principles here. What would happen if someone just applied beef tallow on their skin and went to the sun?
They would burn faster.
They would
actually.
burn faster. Yes. So a lot of compounds are just not suitable for being the carrier of skin of SPFs. And a lot of compounds, when they are exposed to heat, they actually change chemically. So a sunscreen doesn't safety in sunscreen is making sure molecules stay at their original intended structure. I think that's very important to say. And if you add antioxidants to that, because what we're talking about at the end of the day is oxidative load, oxidative stress, you can actually support that. And antioxidants, they need their own stabilizing molecules. So we have there, it's not as easy as your, face oil or something like that. But anyway, that was my little rant. That's what I wanted to make sure we're talking about zinc oxide and what really we want people to kind of remember. But I wanted to give this little rant. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that was a very important rant. Okay, so we have some rapid fire round. Amita, tell me, what are your thoughts on SPF in makeup?
Not enough. You'd have to use an absurd amount of foundation to match real SPF coverage. And no, that's not an excuse to use an absurd amount of foundation. So you need to layer a dedicated sunscreen underneath.
Correct. Best SPF number?
I would say, you know what? I've answered the last one. So how about you answer?
Okay. So SPF 40 is the sweet spot. Higher numbers offer marginally more protection, but the key is reapplying every 2 hours. So, I mean, that's it. I think if you go for there are SPF numbers that are crazy high, right? And a lot of the times you're thinking the protection is not that much higher because within I forget now, I don't have the table next to me. Okay, so I think the SPF 40 is 95
98%.
98%.
90 now you confused me. I think it's 98%. And every 10 points, so SPF 50 for example, it's another 0.5%.
It could be. That's why I didn't want to be the one saying it, and I always rather undersell and over deliver. I'll say 95, but then it's 98,
But also the number is the amount of minutes you could be in the sun protected, right? So 40 SPF 40 extends the protection for 40 minutes.
Yes, exactly. And then we were saying that, that's if it didn't, melt off your face.
Yes.
But also if you go the SPF 40 non-nano, I love that you have a higher chance of not having a white cast compared to the higher you go, the more likely you're gonna look a little more ghosty. But then it also has to do with a lot of other things in the formulation, which I guess we can talk about it when we, if we decide to highlight how we went about it with BioShield. Or do you want to talk about it now?
I don't know. Let's unrapid fire. Yeah, okay. Let's talk about it.
So So the sunscreens, there is a question okay, so what is which number is best? And I think the best number here is actually the one that you will use and be happy with, that will look good on your face. And it's not actually the number dependent, but that's what I'm trying to say. It's what else did you put in the formula? So when you apply your sunscreen, your skin looks so beautiful, you actually want to wear it, and it also serves the function. And so with BioShield SPF 40, which is the sunscreen that we created, one of the reasons that you will not look like a ghost and you will not have a white cast, even if you're far on the darker skin.
Actually, we have ghosts that apply it. And they look human. You would not know they're
ghosts.
Like ghosts.
I know. It's very popular among ghosts,
Yes.
actually.
Yeah. The
Uh,
number one, number one sunscreen used by ghosts.
I'm telling you, we're like getting ready for Halloween in our heads.
Yeah.
But so what we did, first of all, our zinc oxide is micronized. So that's like the Rolls Royce of zinc oxide. So it's not just non-nano. Okay, non-nano makes sure that you will not experience any penetration to your bloodstream and all of those worries that people have, like, oh, the sunscreen were found in the brain. We won't even go there. Actually, if you want to know, a year ago, we recorded an episode about sunscreen, and there we broke down lots of studies, including that very famous study quoted by very famous Andrew Huberman. But anywho, so first of all, our
By the way,
sunscreen
he
is,
did not quote it correctly anyway. That's a
yes,
different. Anyway, yeah.
you talked about it there.
Oh, yeah? Okay,
You
good.
did, yeah. So first of all, our sunscreen is non-nano. Then it's also micronized zinc oxide. So instead of having flat circles, which is the regular zinc oxide, ours is actually round. And this round shape makes it so you need less product to get very good coverage. So that also is something that makes it so, it looks very, very natural. And so our sunscreen is tinted naturally by some iron oxide in the formula. And that also helps it actually not look white.
Okay, I just want to make sure I explain the micronization because you did a good job,
But not good enough, so you
but I just want to geek out about it. So normally
please do.
zinc oxide, it looks like a golf ball, basically.
Oh, I said it in reverse.
You did say it in reverse, yeah.
I apologize.
It's okay, but that it's the intent that it's the thought that counts.
Yeah.
So zinc oxide, you want to explain it? Yeah.
Well, basically, I said it in reverse. So the regular zinc oxide is round shape, and now it also makes sense that you will need more of it to make it line up like on your
Yeah.
face. So you need a lot more product to make it like cover all of the surface. Whereas ours is micronized, so these golf balls of zinc oxide were flattened. So that actually helps you put less product and get more coverage. So
Yeah, they're
yeah.
tiled on top of each other, so
Yeah.
they can actually. But that also. So the white cast is when basically like sun rays or just like light is catching those golf balls in like weird angles. And when they're flattened, when they're smooshed like a pizza, those angles kind of don't exist, so you don't get the white cast. Although you get like much better coverage.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say also, because we're talking about the numbers of SPFs and stuff like that. So a good antioxidant system within a formulation can actually double. That's from a study, a few studies, but one really good one done in Australia. A good antioxidant system can actually double the effectiveness of a sunblock formulation. So, yeah, numbers are great, but the combination of numbers and a system around it are imperative, especially, and that's something that we didn't touch on before because this is a new innovation for us, are enzymes that allow your DNA to get repaired from the UV radiation, and that we do with our ladder serum. So even though this is not an episode that is necessarily built to talk about the ladder serum, combination of everything, all the protection that we spoke against now, together with which we would call like a passive protection, like a preventative protection, together with active protection, which is a reparative kind of in sync with the damage. So damage is done as damage, and damage is being repaired, that you could do with the ladder serum, is something really unique. So if you know that you have a day where you're going to get a lot of UV DNA damage, you could use the ladder serum not like you would use it normally with red light therapy, but just as a serum in your routine, and then continue your routine, and then you would be able to get some active regenerative protection alongside your SPF.
For sure. And if,
For sure.
if you're listening to it like ladder serum, I've never heard of that. There is a whole podcast episode about ladder serum where you can geek out about all of the very special ingredients that we have there, including those photosomes, so enzymes that are activated by the sunlight or the red light, you know. So
Yes.
that's definitely a great serum for sure to use when you're exposed to
Yes.
light.
And I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Let's rapid fire again.
Okay.
Because you kind of alluded to it beforehand. Do you need sunscreen on cloudy days?
Yes, you do, because you're still experiencing UVA damage.
Yes. Okay, I'll give you another rapid fire. Can sunscreen cause breakouts?
Well, I think what ends up happening is that the pores are getting clogged. And that for sure can cause breakouts. So you have to think about, again, we're talking about the formulation. So if your sunscreen is comedogenic, like if it's tallow based, that's for sure going to give you some breakouts. What were you doing? You know, were you sweating and then you didn't really wash your face and, you know, you had a very, let's say, again, you played pickleball or tennis
You
or
had that
something.
heavy foundation that you needed in
You
order for
had
you.
the very heavy foundation and you played pickleball and then you didn't wash your face after that. Yeah, chances are you're going to get breakouts. So
I think pickleball gives you breakouts.
well, again, so I think it's about what's inside your sunscreen that you were using. In general, if you really want to avoid breakouts and have outdoor sunny activities, you should look what else did you put in your skin, because if you use the appropriate serum that protects your skin barrier and actually makes sure that none of the pollution particles will get inside, then you'll have much less lower
Yeah.
chance to get breakouts. Speaking of rapid fire questions, do you want to, since the nanoparticles is like a
Yeah,
big
because that
question,
answer was just rapid.
yeah, do you want to unpack it a little bit?
To do what?
Unpack the nanoparticles versus non-nanoparticles question?
No, I think it's like super basic. Like zinc oxide, like old timey zinc oxide gave you a white cast. Then people said, "Hey, do you know what we could do? We could bake the zinc oxide nano sized. So you break down those big clusters into nano sized molecule. The problem is that that's so small, it actually absorbs into your skin rather than staying on top of your skin, which would, first of all, not work. That's number one. Number two, it will get into your bloodstream, and that's a negative. We don't want that. So that's just why we wouldn't want nano zinc oxide, or for that matter, titanium dioxide, even though that's not a very popular thing to do. And we would want a non-nano one. I think that's basically it.
Yeah. For
Okay,
sure.
let's talk about our take on daily sun protection.
Yes. So I think, first of all, I think it goes through all about functional skincare. So that's why our 100% mineral SPF BioShield, that's non-nano, isn't just sunscreen. It's like a whole 360 degrees skin defense system. So we already talked about the fact that we use micronized zinc oxide. Do you want to talk about Actoin and why we put it there?
So yes, so ectones, that's not necessarily. So we can talk about LPC6, which is the antioxidant we have there, which is if biohackers are listening, it's like a better behaving cousin of carbon 60 or C60. So that's as far as it's extremely strong antioxidant.
Yeah, and it doesn't protect only from free radicals of oxygen, but also free radicals of nitrogen and carbon. So it really protects from pollution particles that we're exposed to these days indoors and outdoors.
Now, when we talk about ectoin, that's another really cool ingredient, which I think we were definitely the first sunscreen to have it. But that, BioShield was one of the first products on the market to have ectoin.
Yeah, actually, I remember somebody I know that lives in France. She told me like, oh, they're like a couple of months ago. She showed me a message like, have you guys looked into using Actoin? It's like becoming really popular in France. I'm like, oh yeah, we've had products with Actoin for
Been
a while.
there, done that.
Yeah.
That's my French accent.
But then
Anyway,
when she heard that we actually use it and we've been using it for a while, she was like, okay, now you earned the place of pioneers in skincare. I'm like, we did NAD plus precursors before everyone else. We brought spermidine in topical formulations. But yeah, Actoin is pretty cool as well.
yeah, anyway, we started researching ectoin, I think basically over 5 years ago, for sure, probably more. But really, ectoin, what it does, it is a protein that structures water around proteins. So it does a lot of things. Normally, I call it everything hyaluronic acid wished it were, because it increases hydration. It allows your cells to kind of have more hydration packed around them, or again, all of the collagen fibers, everything in your skin that is kind of using hydration or using water, elastin, etc. But it also builds that protective barrier also is there against oxidative stress damage and foreign, things like, non-native EMF damage to those areas of your skin. So it protects the skin against damaging rays that are passing through it, which is like really, really, really cool. It's an incredible ingredient.
Yeah. It's extremely light. And I think that's so cool that it's sourced from bacteria that can survive in the uninhabitable environments, like super hot environments or super cold. And like it's even said to be like the bacteria themselves, they're called like space teddy bears because supposedly they can survive in space. And that's because besides structuring water around themselves, they also are able to rebuild like a protective, like they keep rebuilding protective protein around themselves. So that the ability to constantly repair, regenerate, and enhance your protection, it's really vital when you think about sunscreen and the skin's been like bombarded with all of those environmental aggressors we talked about, the sun, the
and
EMF,
what if you need to
the
go
blue light.
to space?
Space.
Like, what's her name?
Oh, yeah. The future wife of Jeff Bezos.
No, the
Katy Perry?
singer, Katy Perry.
Well, they went
Oh,
together.
I thought it's the other one.
No, it was Katy Perry. It was, I'm blanking on the Jeff Bezos fiance, and I feel so bad because she earned to be
No, she's the
known
best. No, she's the number one
separately
person.
from Jeff Bezos. What's her name?
Miss Bezos.
Lauren Sanchez, right?
Okay, sure.
Okay.
But
So it was her as well.
yeah, but I would say that. Do you remember what Dave Asprey called it? He said, "Wait, you're telling me you have tardigrade juice in your skincare?"
Funny.
Anyway, yeah. So that's, I think, a really cool, kind of concept, because what you're saying, in other words, and what we're trying to do is that defense isn't just about shielding; it's also about healing.
Yeah. And I think now this is a good segue to the botanical complex that we put there. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we have a botanical complex that mimics how your body is going to respond to sun damage. Just does it, obviously, it refines it. And what we're doing there is we're activating, as we said about ladder, just in a different manner. Ladder activates enzymes that go after pyrimidine dimers, which are the parts of your DNA that are becoming damaged. Here, what we're doing is it has a sirtuin activating complex that goes after. So sirtuins are enzymes in your DNA that correct you again. That kind of reboot the youthful software in your skin. So it's different from specifically UV damage. They're just, again, like running a youthful repair software in your cells. So we're able to provide a better functioning cell that deals with sun damage. That's kind of what we said before about, being exposed to all of these environmental stressors, artificial blue lights, all of those, and then going to the sun. The problem is that our skin is just becoming like an older skin, and now it's hard for it to deal with sun damage. So with this complex, with this herbal complex that activates sirtuins, we're able to at least mitigate some of that because our cells are now behaving like younger cells, and they can handle the damage
Yeah.
maybe better,
And I think, I hope now that we broke down all of the thought and research that went into formulating the BioShield SPF 40, I hope the listeners understand that it's really hard to compare it like apples to apples with other sunscreens, because a lot of the time people
Other
try the
sunscreens are made out of apples. No, I'm kidding.
a lot of the time people will try our sunscreen and will be like, oh my God, this is amazing. But it's $125 for 60 days supply. I don't know. There are sunscreens for $20 and $30, and they feel nice on my skin as well. So it's really about the level of protection you get and from what. So it's not just, although we're talking like the name of the product is sunscreen in general, right? The category. We should really understand that it's no longer just the sun's rays that are affecting your skin, and you should not only protect from UVA and UVB that we talked about in the beginning, but all of these other aggressors as well. And, this is the product that really does that. And
And it's important to say that they are so in the Western world, again, studies, what I'm saying right now is from published studies that have been replicated over and over again. Cumulatively, other stressors that are not UV radiation are aging your skin more than UV radiation. It's a 60-40 split. UV radiation is responsible. If you live in the Western world, on average, UV radiation is 40% of what's driving skin aging, and the other stressors are 60. So when you're using sunscreen, you're only really targeting 40% of the environmental stressors that age your skin.
yeah, for sure. Now we promised to talk about the myth that
The what?
one of the myths
Okay.
that the dermatologists, some dermatologists put out there. And the myth is that the best sunscreen is the one that you're going to apply versus be it chemical or mineral.
Oh.
And we touched on it briefly, that the fact that, so they were saying like, okay, because the sun rays, in their opinion, is the number one reason, skin ages. So you should really not put too much thought into versus are you going to use chemical sunscreen or mineral. Just use the sunscreen that you will use in that.
Just use the sunscreen that I'm sponsored in this post to say that you should use.
Put a lot of foundation with the sunscreen, and you'll be better off. So, and like you were saying, unfortunately, with the chemical screens, we already talked about they work in a very different way, but they also really do accumulate in your blood. And there's also studies that found it accumulate in the breast milk. Like they,
Yeah, that's why I don't drink.
So that's really alarming data. So, I mean, yeah, I think there shouldn't be a debate. It's mineral, 100% mineral sunscreen. And also when sunscreen says mineral, you really need to make sure that it's 100% mineral. Because even if it's like 50-50, it's allowed to be called mineral. So look for 100% mineral sunscreen. Look for no-nano. I think you should really consider giving BioShield SPF 40 a chance.
Yes.
You now can order it in a travel size, by the way. Now that, it's the season when people are traveling. For a limited time, we have travel sizes, a lot of our products available on the website. It was a huge ask. And, believe it or not, it's actually not that easy for us to make it happen, but we made it happen.
Yes, it's true, because we need specific bottles, and it was hard to procure. I would say, first of all, for that myth about like, use what you, whatever. First of all, you're going to use what you have. Okay, so just make sure you have a sunscreen that answers everything that we said today. So I think that's number one. Number two, again, like dermatologists, they normally there is a lag, there is a delay of many years between what the education that they really are sure is effective in whatever, and where science is today, where longevity science is. And dermatologists, I mean, there is a dermatologist, and I'm not going to say the name, that came to our booth at the Biohacking conference. This is probably the number one dermatologist on Instagram or on YouTube, Instagram, whatever. For reference, Neutrogena pays her $50,000 per post that she posts. And when we talked longevity, she was flabbergasted by every single thing that we said. I'll give another example, which was the lady that back then, 2018, I think, was the head of derm in Harvard, which she did not know. And, on a one-to-one conversation, she did not have a correlation between leaky gut and skin issues like psoriasis and eczema. Like, what I'm saying is that there is like a huge chasm between the depth of knowledge a dermatologist has and the breadth of knowledge you need to cover also longevity or where research is right now. So I would definitely not count on a biohacker to treat my MRSA or staph infection or melanoma or whatever, or to diagnose it, right? But when we talk about something like, where is research right now as far as like skin longevity and the effects of environmental stressors on it, that's something that 99.9% of dermatologists are just not educated on it, because it's a moving target, because it's new information that's being revealed all the time, and it's a full-time job to follow that information.
Yeah. But on that topic, I do want to end on a hopeful note. There are a lot of integrative dermatologists these days.
Yeah,
and
shout out Erica Klemperer.
Yeah,
Shout
Dr.
out
Jen.
Dr. Jen Haley.
Yeah. And we attend integrative dermatologist conventions, and we see that they start to get education, from all of the other, like about nutrition and about, skin, skin gut axis, skin brain axis. So it's getting there. It's not available to all dermatologists, because not all dermatologists are gonna, go ahead and invest in this type of education. But if you're someone dealing with acne, for example, I really recommend to look for integrative dermatologists who probably will not only offer you topical solutions, but will actually like look into other things you do on a daily basis.
And I think that's a nice note to end this episode, no?
For sure. No, I think like one of the takeaways for sure is that the SPF, as long as you experience daylight, you should consider sunscreen. Think of it as your daily defense for your DNA, not just beach day backup. If you're serious about skin longevity, you can't afford to skip it. And, we made something that makes you not to have compromise, which is our BioShield SPF 40.
Yeah, it's a good slogan, BioShield SPF 40, for people who don't compromise on their sunblock.
Yeah.
Check it out, younggoose.com. That's definitely the best sunscreen you'll ever use. Podcast 10 is a promo code. If you're driving and you are scrambling to write this down, stop on the side of the road, put a note for yourself. Podcast 10 will give you 10% off. And please don't forget, if you like what we're doing right here and you think other people will enjoy this information as well, or it will be useful for them and they will enjoy it, rate, review, and please share this episode with your loved ones. And anyone who still thinks a 10 is just cute.
Yeah. everyone that needs all that information. And we'll see you next time on Biohacking Beauty. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Bye.